We are live. Hello and welcome to Free the Mind UK, a chat with a therapist. My name's Dave Carson. I'm your host for this evening. And what a joy that is. We've got a wonderful guest joining us tonight in the way of Sarah Williams. I will give you a little bit of information about her in a minute. For those that are watching and watching the recording, this channel is all about having therapists on the channel on a regular basis to basically share with the general public what's available out there in the way of alternative therapies, so forth and so on. But before further ado, before we bring on our guest, I'm going to play the intro video.
Not sure what therapy to choose? Free the Mind UK presents A Chat with a Therapist. Join us live for an up-close informal discussion of the various holistic therapies available, helping you make that important choice.
So, like I said earlier on, I'm really excited about having our guest on this evening, Sarah Williams. So, Sarah is a professional lecturer, a holistic therapist, and a researcher of ancient civilizations, a multi-dimensional light weaver, and works with frequency and vibration. Now, Sarah was also guided or channeled in regards to the soul harmony balancing creams that she works with. They particularly work with the 18 chakras and the 4 bodies being the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. So without further ado, let's bring on Sarah. Here we go. Hello, Sarah. Welcome to the channel. Lovely to see you. Can you hear me? Oh, fantastic.
Haven't we?
We did. We had a few technical issues before we came. We didn't have a lot of time to have a chat because I normally have a chat with my guests for like 5-10 minutes before we come live. So this is just being in the moment, isn't it, Sarah? Going with the flow and everything else. And that's what it's all about. That's how we should all be living our lives, being in the moment. Okay, Sarah, as I say, it's an absolute joy to have you on the channel. Thank you so much for coming on and to be sharing your knowledge and wisdom and everything about what you're going to be talking about tonight. But what I normally ask our guests is just give us like a short overview of sort of how you got to this point in your life now. That would be amazing.
Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me on, Dave.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure, Sarah. Pleasure.
And it's a little bit impromptu, but where did I start with all of this? Was that the question, really? How did
yeah, you know, everyone has a journey in many respects, and it's just interesting for the viewers, you know, how you sort of got to be where you are today.
Okay, well, absolutely. Sorry. Well, it started when I was very young. Actually, I used to say prayers. My dad used to taught me how to say prayers next to my bed when I was about 2, 3, and 4, and then I used to ask him, "What's outside these stars?"
Wow.
So from that age, I was always really interested in what was outside the universe. And that sort of progressed really. And then I got lost in, life and, studying and traveling, and, I had a daughter, and then my whole life changed, and I was I retrained from what I had been doing on this sort of what I call the hamster wheel job. And I had done a lot of traveling prior to that. I sort of just, hopped in with a backpack and skipped around Europe for a bit, years. But then when I got back and I had Bexy, my daughter, I realised I had to then become a single mum. And I thought, well, I don't want to hand my daughter over to somebody else to look after, so I'll retrain with something different. I did because I've got a fairly large nose and it's always worked pretty well. So you'll do me good, that'll be okay. It'll be a bit interesting. And little did I know that it was going to lead me from one thing to the next. And that was time I was in Surrey, just the UK, just south of London in the UK or southwest. And then I was in a little sort of 2 up, 2 down rented place. Me and Bexy, you know, she was about 3,
Wow.
and I studied. So so with that, I did aromatherapy, body massage, and things like that. And I had never heard about chakras. So having reflexology, my reflexologist told me about chakras, and then I started aromatherapy, working with the chakras from that whole sort of 2 up and 2 down, and then the creams came about, and I sent them off to Caroline Miss, I can't remember how to pronounce it. Violator. So I sent them off to her out in America because I was reading some books by her at the time, Anatomy of the Spirit, Why People Don't Heal and How They Can, those sorts of books. And she really inspired me with her being a medical intuitive, and I was fascinated by, you know, the way that she was working. So when she sent me a letter back saying that the creams were amazing, she really encouraged me to work 7 chakra balancing creams that I sort of just put together in my kitchen, really.
Wow.
Well, it literally was. So that inspired me, and now I work with at least 22 chakras. And the reason being is because my guidance has been, one of the things that I'm here to do is to help use Mother Nature to bring this molecular body through the shift from being a carbon into a silica or crystalline based vehicle. And it's no so what we're doing is using nature with regards to essential oils, and mostly in this case, and love, and then wrapping all that together, popping it into a jar. I've got one little one there.
Oh wow.
And then just, you know, because it's made with love, the vibration of love, and we clear the space and have sacred space open and lovely music playing for the vibration, you know, all of this sort of thing, and observe everything. And I found a little vegan based cream, and then just put a little blob on the back of the hand. And then what I did was I photographed the auric field.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah, well, I found it interesting because I'm a bit of a studier. I like to analyze the triple Virgo, if that means anything to anyone.
It doesn't, but look.
It means I analyze a lot. And
Right, okay.
So anyway, I had a look at what the creams did to the auric field, and that encouraged me even more. And started to develop the creams, and I've got, I think, 32 or something. I've got the organ balancing and the physical support, ultimate stress relief, things like that, you know, that were tested over 12 years ago, and they've still been going. So I started my sort of fully as a therapist and a healer in about 1995, I would say. But prior to that, I'd always been the child in the playground that didn't fit in, and people always came to you if they didn't feel very well. You know, and they always sort of went off, and like many of us therapists, and like, you know, like, don't feel like you fit in, but you do. You know, people do seem to feel better once they've hung around you for a bit, and sometimes
absolutely.
did.
I get that all the time, Sarah. I mean, I'm a bit mad, to be honest. I'm one of them people. I don't care. I'll heal people at bus stops, you know, and I've got my hand on them like that. That's just crazy stuff, but I don't care. So, like, but I think, yeah, indeed. So you're going to be talking about raising one's vibration. Yeah, obviously. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be watching this that maybe aren't on this particular path, you know, but intrigued by it. So what can you tell us about
Raising your vibration?
Exactly, raising our vibration.
Well, think of I always like to use the analogy of a radio. So if you're driving in your car and you're going, we've got some hills just near here, and if you go through the hills, then you stop at one point with 2 different radio stations coming through you know, sort of flicks from angel to wave and, you know, that kind of thing. And then it sort of picks up the strongest signal with that program and that show. Well, think of your body being a receiver. And then if you, and you're a vibrating cell, because we're all vibrating molecules, all of us, everything is a molecule which is vibrating. Just whether it's, you know, a rock or a crystal, which is a slow vibration, or the air, which is a higher, or sound, which is a higher frequency, high vibration. Everything is, you know, potentially on a spectrum of vibration, and we're in. So if you change the frequency in your radio in the car, you know, we used to have old dials. I'm showing my age here, but you used to be able to use the dial to change.
I remember them, Sarah. I remember them.
You may just
I do.
only just, so you know, maybe your dad had one or something. I don't know. And you change the frequency, and then you change the radio show that you're hooking into, don't you? I mean, they're both on at the same time. It just depends which station or where you put your focus. And kind of the same. So if we change our frequency, then we can pick up a different timeline. And I always think about the fact that there are, you know, we're moving from the third dimensional world through the fourth dimension into the fifth. And they're just frequencies. They're all running alongside each other at the same time, if you like. But it's just what frequency you're tuning into, and it's your personal choice about where you put your focus and which you want to listen to, if that makes any sense. So if you choose to, as the indigenous ones say, because I've done some shamanic training as well as the other stuff I've done, you know, angelic and archangelic, and, you know, but I like to ground it with some shamanic stuff. So and with that, you know, we always, I've lost my train now.
You'll get it back.
we got to ground stuff, you know. You've got to have your feet on the ground and your head in, and bring the two together. And we sort of like little acupressure needles that are sort of around the planet. And if we shift our frequency from being a lower frequency, which is carbon based, like a piece, like the suit that we're getting into is a carbon based suit, so it looks like a lump of coal, let's use the analogy. And then you tune it up to being a diamond, which is the same, but it takes a lot of heat and pressure to turn a piece of coal into a diamond. But basically, you know, you're going from carbon into crystalline silica based, and that's what we're doing with our bodies. We're raising our vibrations. Now we're raising the vibrations so that we can facilitate a higher frequency, and that's, so 3D was very fear based. 4D, fear, karma, and time. Karma and time. So 13,000 years of fear, masculine driven sort of energy. I'm not saying it's male, I'm just saying it was that masculine left brain kind of thing. And then we went into so then we had Atlantis and the fall of Atlantis and all of that, and then the mistakes that were made, and, you know, and that kind of a thing. I don't know quite what level I'm, you know, what the audience is up for here, but anyway, you'll stop me if I'm going, you know, off track.
That's cool. We love going off track. We love digressing on this channel, Sarah. It makes it more interesting, doesn't it? But cool.
It does, doesn't it? And it's quite exciting. I think.
Absolutely.
So, so you're raising your vibration so that you can actually access a different radio station or a different channel or a different frequency. So you're moving from fear, the 13,000 years, which was said to end in 2012, but actually ends next year, because there was the Gregorian calendar 12-year alignment. But 2012 was said to be by the Mayans, that the sort of the new beginnings, etc. So we went from being in fear for 13,000 years into the next cycle of the next 13,000 years, which is going to be stepping into the divine feminine. But actually, instead of just being one or the other, we're blending the two. Blend the two. You've got to have, you know, a nice blend of masculine energy, you know, the left brain. You've got to have a nice blend of feminine energy, and with the Kundalini in the base chakra, weave the two together and have a blend of that in your auric, pass through the chakras, which are basically energy. Think of them as portals. You're not sure if anyone thought of chakras, or sort of I don't know, spiraling energy, but actually gateways within the body, and the energy goes in a toric. Your energy, anything that lives, has a toric which flows in a toroidal shape. So a donut, if you like, with a hole in it, and anything that lives has a toroidal field around it. And as long as it's a plant or an animal or a tree or a planet or a human or whatever it may be. So if it's got this toroidal field and it's flowing through these energy centers or chakras easily, your Kundalini can rise, and it's a toroidal way. And if that's flowing, then your body can heal itself from absolutely, because you've got the DNA within you to create this body, this carbon-based vehicle in the first place. But the first time in human awareness, we're bringing our carbon-based body through to a silico-crystalline-based structure. So our preferences are changing. We're noticing different symptoms in the body because of this and this heat and this, you know, change in frequencies that are coming from the sun and upgrading our DNA, and therefore shifting the Schumann resonance with all these big solar flares we've got coming in now from central sun of Alcyone. That's all lifting our vibration through our DNA, and then that's facilitating a shimming off of any carbon-based, fear-based, what the Mayans call hucha, or the indigenous ones, they call it hucha. They say think of it as black, sticky black tar floating in your energy field, and you can cleanse and clear that, and release it to Mother Earth, and she will nurture it and look after it and deal with it. And a bit like potato peelings, you know, you put your potato peelings into the compost bin, Mother
breaks it all down and makes it into something useful and good and all of that. So Sarah, so people that are moving into the 4D to 5D, let's say, or moving out the 3D, are these sort of people that are working with healing, reading books about healing? They just find themselves sort of doing those sort of things, you know, sort of meditating. Is that like a pathway to that, if you see what I mean? Or is it happening to people that aren't even doing that? They're just like doing very normal things, and they just start feeling this, and then do they start looking to that sort of stuff? Do you think? Or
yeah, I'd probably go with both, actually.
Yeah.
I think the people who are attracted, a lot more of us are attracted, you know, when you step away from your day job for the last 3, you know, and you sort of had to adapt what you're doing. People to fall into doing things they love, and a lot of the time the day job just didn't cut it for them, so they've moved into what's their passion and making that world. So you know, things like spiritual, you know, sort of more spiritual awareness, and being a therapist or a counselor or a healer or a, you know, a card reader or something, you know, that makes them feel good and helps others. And I think those are really sort of star seeds, you know, those of us that are doing that. You know, we're coming in, and we're sort of, you know, I won't say ahead, but we are stepping in there,
supporting the changeover as such.
Yeah. But I think that we're all being activated by the sun, and you know, whether we like it or not, our bodies are changing, and what my creams are here to help with, because I know nature on that side the whole time, as long as we tune in, and then 50 is going into bliss and joy and bilocation and manifestation and
It,
dance.
it, it's interesting actually, because I had an epiphany about 25 years ago, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden I realized that everything around me is like one part of the truth. A lot of it was illusionary, and it fascinated me because I saw everything in a different light. So whenever I saw like a tree or a road, I was like, oh my God, I don't believe this. This is a massive energy, but it's also a road or this incredible physical tree. It just blew my brain. And that in itself allowed me to really love the actual physicalness of the world. You know, that because it was just absolutely incredible that this could be a massive energy, but also this incredible, beautiful natural tree in a sense, you know. And yeah, it's really been helpful
Did you
over
see
the
the
years.
Men Who Stare at Goats? Did you ever see that?
The Witch, sorry.
The film, and it was called Men Who Stare at Goats.
Oh really? No, I haven't. I'll have to look out for it though.
George Clooney, Ewan McGregor, quite funny film, but based
Oh
on
right.
yeah,
Wow.
and that's about raising your vibration. And you know, it starts off with, I don't know, George Clooney throwing himself up against a wall somewhere and trying to change my vibration so I can go through the wall. Based on remote viewing and
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was always attracted to the sort of Hindu sort of ideas, you know, the yogis. I was fascinated with the yogis. That was pretty much when I was reading about them, I had an incredible affinity with what they were saying, and I felt like I understood everything they were saying on a very deep level, if you know what I mean. But you were talking about the is it the Munikai, the Amazonian shamans? Is that like are they Amazonian? Is that like a group of or yeah? Could you? I know I'm digressing here, but I'm quite intrigued with it because you
okay.
did some work with him, didn't you?
Oh, I've worked with many shaman, yeah, quite a few shaman, but
Yeah,
Moonai
Moonlight.
means love, and Ki means energy. So you've heard of
Yeah.
Reiki.
Yes, of course.
Well,
Yeah.
universe, doesn't it? And Ki means energy. Well, Moonai means love, and Ki means energy, and that's actually it's a sequence of 9 sacred rites which are downloaded in the frequency of the 7 or 8 chakras. And that is sown as seeds, and then you do some fire ceremonies 2 a month, which is nurturing the seeds, and then they grow, and then there's this amazing awareness shift. It changes the way you look, age, heal, live, and die. I mean, that's what I saw a friend, hadn't seen her for years. She looked amazing. She was glowing. She was golden. She looked younger. I said, what are you doing, Annie? You know, what is it? What you on? You had a holiday? Are you doing vitamins? You know, what is it? And she said, nothing. Moon Eye Key. I did that. So I said, Moon Eye what? And she said, anyway, whatever you're, I'd like some because you look amazing. She fast tracked me, and that was back in 2010.
Wow.
I've been sharing those rights with people ever since. But yeah, on my journey, I've done a lot of traveling, and I have a lot of crystal placements around the planet, and I've been drawn a lot to Mexico, to Central America, working in those fields with shaman out there, and pyramids, and putting crystals in sacred sites that are, you know, all sorts of different things connected to the heart chakra of my Mother Earth, which is the UK, England, and then taking those attuned crystals over to somewhere like Tulum in Mexico and Yucatan, and putting them in different places because I just
Wow.
do that. So we've done work around the, you know, lots of pyramids, lots of ancient sites and things, and you know, and just I've just been the legs really for crystals, and they've just said, "I want
Wow.
you've got
It's
to go to the healing chamber," and I'm just like, "Hey, I'll book the flight," you know. And
did you get sort of this information via channel? Did you get channeled like
I don't know what you call it, but it just gets put into my head.
like a download basically?
I'd done, I mean, 10 years ago, I was in a wheelchair. I was diagnosed with all sorts of autoimmune issues. And for 3 years, they put me on thyroxine. So when I was in a wheelchair, they said, oh, you know, you've got rheumatoid arthritis. You need to have these drugs. And I thought, no, you know, excuse me. So I decided I was going to just change my diet, and with nutrition, I would come off all medication. With, you know, my health, chosen health practitioner helping me, came off thyroxine. Thought I was going to, you know, potentially if I believed the white coats, then I would have been dead within 2 years. But here I am, you know, sort of 8 years, and about 3 stone lighter, because the thyroxine kept me suppressed.
I can imagine.
You know. So when I came off that, I lost about 2 stone within about, you know, a couple of months, about 3 dress sizes, I think it was, something like that, because my body started to find a stasis. And then I did some just use my creams and my food, my health, you know, what I eat. And
I was going to say, sorry, cool.
No, that's very sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Typical British, isn't it? So I'm sorry. No. I was going to mention before, you know, as well as I can. This is what I assume, because it's something I've done myself personally, as well as sort of things like meditating and stuff like that. You know, nutrition is so important. I'm guessing to embrace these new vibrations. I'm guessing. That'd be right.
I think if you eat lightly, then you'll change. You know, it's like if you make a cake, if you leave out the chocolate, then you end up with a Victoria sponge. If you put chocolate, you get chocolate cake, and if you put ginger, you get a ginger cake. So whatever you put into your body is going to change the frequency of your body and what you can attune to, which radio station you want to tune into. So if you want a high vibe, you've got to eat a higher vibe food. So you eat locally.
Can you actually focus your energy so in a way that you put all the groundwork in, you know, the nutrition, and can you actually like connect with a particular vibration, or does it, you get what you get?
Are you talking about
that makes any sense? The vibration, that like moving into the 4D 5D, is there obviously, is there like a universal vibration of that, or like, are some people going to connect with it differently to others because of like maybe they're eating crap, and so they're doing other stuff like meditating and that, so they're going to connect with it maybe not as, I don't know. Does it make any sense?
Well, it does. Loads of sense. I mean, it's, you know, it's a really good observation and a good point. I think if you're eating heavy dense stuff, then you're not going to, versus if you're eating, you know, locally grown seasonal stuff, you know, that you know where it hasn't been contaminated by things like fluoride and stuff, and Monsanto business and you know, the steep all the manipulation of the foods. If you're eating stuff that, let's say, you or a friend has grown and you know it's clean, then it's going to be a high vibration than the stuff that's been shot, bought, and sprayed and processed. So, you know, if you're going to go in, I mean, I used to have a McDonald's and a, you know, and a shake and a, you know, whatever. And I used to think that was fine, but I couldn't go near anything like that anymore. It just was making me ill. Can't drink now. Love it, something, and now I makes me feel weird. So so if you change what's going in, then you can access a different frequency, and those people who are eating a lower frequency of food, it might take a little longer, but I think we're all going to get there eventually. It's just the speed you want to get there, and then the more you kind of, I think even those people who are not doing this at the moment, there's certain, from the talks and the workshops that I run, and I do quite a lot, the consensus seems to be that people are not they're not drawn to the same kind of foods that we used to be drawn to. So we're all starting to want to eat salads and not want, you know, heavier, sandwiches and things, and a lot more people are just changing their habits in so many ways, including food. So if people are just feeling that they need to do it, then that's because we're moving, whether we like it or not. This planet is moving through, and if you're on the planet, you're being affected by it because the sun's. So we're upgraded. So we choose what's going into the body, and that's down to a soul contract a lot of the time. We've made a conscious decision before we've entered the body, like Dolores Cannon, or we, and at what stage we want to sort of, go through the processes and maybe to leave a body or something. But generally speaking, I believe we're all going home to the same source, and it's just a case of which route do you take. A bit like that film Sliding Doors. We're all going to the station, but which do you take? The slow train? Do you take the fast train? Do you swap at stations? Do you hop on one and then the other? And
yeah, no, I get that. It's interesting actually, because my core concept of life is that everything is what it is, and it's all perfect. Whatever's happening, it's always perfect, because if it wasn't, it wouldn't be happening, if you see what I mean. And I'm just you hear people talk about the 3D being a place where we have a soul contract. We come here and we go through all this shit, all this crap, and we go through all this beauty and joy. It's a bit of a mix and match, isn't it? So like, as we move further into the 4 and 5D as a mass of people, like, do you think that this will sort of cease to be as such? Is it needed anymore? Are we actually people say we're here to learn stuff, and it's like, oh my god, I'm coming back again, and whatever. So when we get to the 4-5D as a mass population, I'm just intrigued. Will we still be here, but maybe free of fear and just joyful and happy, and we'll have a completely different system than what we got today, which we proper need.
we do, don't we?
And it's funny though, isn't it, sir? Everywhere you look, it's fear-based stuff. Like, I don't know about you, probably don't. I never watch the telly. And I certainly don't watch the news. But it's just all around you. Do you know what I mean? I'm one of these people. I'm probably one of the most joyful people you'll ever meet. Honestly, I'm always happy. I don't know. It's an affliction, Sarah. I don't know where it's come from. I don't know why I'm like this. It's it. It's crazy. But there is so much negativity out there that people are, and more the reason to, for people to raise their vibration. Because for me, all that, a lot, like I said before, my concept of the life is it's quite illusionary. So most of that doesn't exist anyway. It's all bullshit, basically. So that's the way I look at it. So it's like, I don't know. It's weird.
But were you always a happy child, Dave?
I don't know, actually. I think so. I don't know. I've always been very careful. I'm a Gemini, like I'm a free spirit. So like, I guess I have. It wasn't. Yeah, I guess I've always been. I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest. But it's almost as though it just happened one day. I've always, I could say I've always been a friendly person. Do you know what I mean? But now it's like, I'm like, people notice it. Do you know what I mean? And they say, God, wish I had that energy and all that, which is very lovely and nice. But I want to share it. I want to share it with people. Like like with you, and you're sharing this because, this could really change your life, in a nutritional sense, in a energetic sense, everything. It's amazing.
Synchronicities everywhere, so, when you're living in 5D, and I have to say, my husband and I do live here pretty much in 5D. We think something and it manifests. So be careful what you're thinking. And of course, we've got the quantum as well. So that's it's off-world technology, which instantly takes pain away, instantly changes people's hearing, vision, takes away ailments, reminds them, puts them back into connection with our higher self in this crystalline frequency pod. So if anyone wants to look into that, we can transmit that free around the world now. So
That's really cool. That's really cool.
It's so exciting. So if I've got a client, maybe in like, I don't know, Ireland or Canada or Bali or America or Australia, I can just transmit the healing through a surrogate here from the pod, and they literally get, I mean, we had a dog, and this was a good thing. So the dog was near death. The vet said, we can't do anything, we need to euthanize. And the human person said, you know, I'll take them home to say goodbye to the family. And then they got in contact with me, and we put the dog's name and a surrogate, used a teddy bear, into the V4 WSU Quantum Wellness Unit, we call it the pod.
Okay.
And then transmitted 6 minutes of healing from that unit to the dog. Now, apparently the dog had been lying sort of near death's door at its home.
Wow.
And it got up after 6 minutes. He didn't know we were doing this. Went for a drink, went outside for a pee, and has been fine ever since.
Wow. So tell me about this pod. What exactly is it? This is it like an actual device that someone's created? It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a guy from Boscher developed it, and he developed this crystalline. Well, it's a TSC. It's a transitional state element, and anyway, he it was channeled to him apparently, and he then brought it over to the UK because they were in Norway, I believe, at the time. Brought it over to the UK. It was all wired at the time. They backed a couple of scientists who I've met, one of. They back engineered it, and so it's now wireless. So a bit like your mobile phone is wireless now.
Wow.
And didn't believe in it. He said, well, it's not turned on. I said, well, neither is your mobile phone, but you can still do your banking, you know.
Absolutely.
Just wired in. Anyway, so they back engineered it, so it's now wireless. The V2, I believe, the version 2 was wired, and then they back engineered that, and now they've got the version 2, which is wireless. The version 4 and the version 5 is just about to come online. And they also have quantum loops and TSE, transitional state elements. But this whole thing is developed by Malcolm Boscher and his partner, Katrina. I know her as Kat. So they've got this, and they're offering it. We're offering it free. I mean, I've been testing it since September. They've had like 300 sessions and just got feedback of just my clients having a go on it, or other people having a go on it, and then giving me feedback. And one 22-year-old said to me, because I said, do you see higher frequencies and, you know, auras and things? And she said yes. I said, but can you associate anything with this pod? I've got 3 tall units and then one that goes underneath the couch or the chair or whatever you use. I use a couch, and that holds a crystalline frequency. And you know, if you haven't got the eyes to see, then you can't see it. But this girl, who's 22, did. And I didn't want to suggest anything to her. I said, "Can you see anything in that?" And she said, "Well, it's golden." I said, "Oh, right." Did it for
Well, she said it was what? Golden.
golden.
No. Oh, golden. Yeah.
Gold.
Wow.
So I said, "Oh, right." And she looked at me like I was crazy. "You can't see this?" And I said, "No, this is great." I said, "What about the quantum loop, which is the best pain reliever ever? You'll never need another paracetamol in your life." Anyway, I said, "What about with the loop, the quantum loop?" And she said, "It's silver energy." And she leaned forward and said, "Sarah, you do realise that it activates when you step into it, don't you?" And I said, "No." So I've loads about this thing in the last 8 months or so, and I'm really happy to be able to take it to groups and people feel it. So I'm taking it to lots of different places now. I don't work with Orinoco, who Malcolm and Kat have formed that company, but I love stuff so much because as a therapist, as a you know, call it what you want, quantum healer, whatever it is, I don't know. I just bring through healing, and it goes to where it needs to go. And as long as it's done within, you know, good intention, that's what I do. But or the highest intention of it.
Do you actually have a device then? Have you actually got your own device? Yeah. So can people access these devices then, and where can they get them from, or is it still in very early stages? Or?
No, you can. There are loads in the UK now,
Really?
and the world. They've just delivered their first one over to Croatia, and but they're getting, you know, they're going all over the planet now. But
Just remind us what it's called again. That'd be great.
It's a quantum. It's a WSU, a wellness support unit.
SWU is that?
So it's no whole W.
Yeah.
Wholeness support S.
Oh, wholeness. Okay. Support.
Unit. I call it a pod. Kat
Okay.
says that.
Wholeness support unit. Okay.
Then,
no, I'm sure people will be might not have got it first time. Definitely get it this time.
or no.
Wow.
And the website is myliferesources.com. It's not my website, that's their website.
Right. Okay.
So you can have a look at that. Really interesting. And you know, if people are interested in things like the Rife machine and the Terra ones and, you know, the Healy and things like that, then this is a stage further. Like the Moon key is an advancement in my view of upgrading of energy. So is this. So I like to combine everything, and then you know, so that people can get free healing, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't mean that just because you haven't got money or you can't travel, it doesn't mean to say that you don't get the healing. You know, that's still available to you.
So it's a bit like it could work in a similar way to like Reiki, distant healing sort of thing. Can it work like that as well or not?
Yes, but those who've measured distance healing, of course, we know that, you know, there have been blind studies that proves that, and this is slightly more technical because actually it is based on frequency, and if that frequency has been transmitted, and they can measure it, and you can actually feel it working.
Wow.
I mean, people have all sorts of amazing experiences, and I've just logged all of those, and I'm at the point, you know, where I'm so excited to be able to offer this to people, that, you know, that I'm doing it for free and taking it to all sorts of venues and things. So that
wow, that's amazing. Good for you. It's a beautiful thing. It's like giving back a little bit, isn't it? It's beautiful. I love that.
we're so lucky, aren't we?
We are. We're incredibly lucky. Again, I just can't believe I'm on this planet at this moment in time. It's amazing. I just love it all. Obviously, you have your days where it's a bit, you know, a bit dodgy, but like, you know, it all passes. Nothing's permanent, is it? So
no, and this too shall pass. And actually, you know, it's like you said earlier, David, I completely concur with what you just said. You know, it's all just a bit of a game, really. You know, and as long as you know, if you're focusing on the good wolf and not the bad wolf, you know, it's that 100 monkey thing as well. You said earlier about, you know, once we get to a big enough mass, do we all get there? Well, you know, it's that monkey butterfly effect, isn't it?
absolutely.
You know, when people, you know, are on or are vibrating at a high frequency, then there is a big pivot point, and everything does. A bit like the monkeys that wash their nuts or something.
Yes, exactly. Or use tools and stuff, and all of a sudden they're doing it all over the planet. And an interesting point, actually. Like I said, I'm quite a joyful person. Anyone who knows me, they'll know this. Well, they'll probably say it. I think they will anyway. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, when I'm in that state of joyfulness, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to. You know, it's like this. There's just so many vibrations, negative, if you want to call it negative. I mean, to some extent, I don't even think there's such a thing as a negative or positive. It is what it is. Do you know what I mean? But there's just no room for anything negative when you're in a joyful state. Like you're just happy. You know, when you're happy, you don't want to hurt anyone or upset anyone. You don't want to do any of that stuff. So there's like, you know,
True.
So,
True.
yeah.
Sounds like 5D2 Dave.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, Sarah, but whatever it is, I'm riding the wave. That's what I say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
And it's interesting you talk about health as well, you know, because like I guess I'm a little bit naughty because like I use my microwave, right? And I get told off for using it, but I'm like, no, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect my body. It's a little bit like there's an aspect of me that's a little bit like, I don't know what to say, but I've got this belief system that, you know, I'm never going to get cancer, for instance. Microwaves don't upset my body. 5G doesn't affect me. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've got like this invisible shield around me, whether I have or whether I haven't, I don't know. But like to me, it seems to work. I've got a bit of tennis elbow though. But you know what I mean? It's like on the whole, you know, I'm never really ill or anything like that. I just feel really good inside, and I think that is a reflection of the joyfulness, if you see what I mean.
It is, yeah. I think, you know, I think we're all doing the best we can with what we've got.
Yeah.
I think, you know, and if we keep, you know, even if you've got, you know, you haven't got clean, you know, homegrown food, you can pray over what you've got, and just, you know, lift the vibration of that. And then if you're vibrating in joy and love and gratitude the whole time, you are shifting the vibration of what you've got.
I was going to say, so even the Dalai Lama gets pissed off if his noodles are cold. I'm sure he does, yeah. But the difference is that it's a very short space of time. So it's like I noticed this from like 30 years ago. If I got upset about something, it would last, yeah, and last and last, maybe a day or maybe like a few hours. But I've noticed that now it's a much shorter time because you know we're human beings, yeah. So we're all gonna get stressed out. Of course we are, but it's how long you're stressed out for, isn't it? You know, it's like, and it's that's the difference. I think that's a clear indication of where, you know, what sort of vibration you're in when you can get rid of it quickly. You know, I don't know if you relate with that, like yourself, when you've had like a bit of stress or whatever. It doesn't last as long.
I use something called the Ho'oponopono. Have you come across that?
I have, yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
it's
it.
that's like a statement, isn't it? It's like a mantra of sorts. Is that right? Is it the
Yeah.
yeah, and you repeat this, and I do the Gayatri mantra. That's my thing. So I'm driving, and I'll be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. So, maybe not the best singer, but still, you know, does the job. It's funny how we have all our little things, isn't it? To like, I find this, you know, like I'll have stages in my life where like I used to do a lot of EFT, you know, because that was a technique. Not all techniques work for everybody, and that one used to work amazing for me. I could be like feeling really crap, do a bit of tapping, and I would be like flying like a jet plane straight away. And I thought, well, I'm going to use this all the time, and I did. And in a way, I was a bit of a cheater. My friend used to say, "But Dave, you're cheating. You're supposed to experience that stress for at least a week." And I'm like, "You're having a laugh? No, I'm gonna. Why should I? I don't have to have a choice, you know." So in a way, I thought I was cheating a little bit using some of these techniques, but wow, like, you know, it's like it's very useful, isn't it?
I think all little things, you know, I think there are lots and lots of bits of a jigsaw puzzle, and whatever resonates for someone may not resonate for everyone, but if it sits well with you, and I think EFT is great, by the way, but if it sits well for someone, then it's going to work for them. If it feels good, it's doing you good, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do find it fascinating, obviously being a therapist, and you've been involved in hypnotherapy as well, haven't you? Have you not? I'm not sure. I can't remember. I thought you had.
But I don't actually hypnotize people.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. But it's interesting because as you probably know, you know, a lot of people that come to see me, they don't have like, in a way, conscious problems. They have unconscious problems, things that they're just not aware of what's actually creating, you know, their situation. And I've always found it quite interesting, like as you go into higher vibrations, are these higher vibrations gonna, in a sense, like dissolve those psychological or unconscious things? I've got a feeling it does, you know. I do.
My feeling on that is that if you face a fear, you know, Ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you.
Yeah.
If you keep peeling back all the layers, then you end up, you know, from anger to frustration to guilt to, you know, whatever it may be. There are only two emotions: unconditional love and joy, and fear. And they sit in the heart for love, and then the kidneys for fear. And if you can pick, using the Ho'oponopono, and that those emotions till you clear the fear, because everything is going to come back down to fear in the end. You know, fear of control, fear of whatever it may be, not being safe. If you can clear those, then you're going to be and then you do a what the shaman call a thumb and chakra, or a bubble cleanse, which I share a lot of. Then you cleanse your bubble energetically. We do that in the Moon Key too. But you can do it anywhere. Anyone can do it. So you just clear your bubble of heaviness. And I fully agree with you. I don't believe in dark and light. And well, you know, I think heavy and light, heavy for me is not always heavy for someone else, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
Viewpoint. So if you keep your fear, you're going to raise your own vibration, and therefore not and not feed the sort of the heaviness, and therefore get into light. But I do feel that the blockages are emotional, and with
absolutely,
the
the
emotions,
vibration can possibly clear that, I would have thought, you know.
Psychoneuroimmunology would mean that when you face the fear, it goes, and then so if it crumbles to dust, and therefore you've got no reason to be sad. So therefore you just vibrate in love, and if you vibrate in love and send that out, then you attract love, and therefore
absolutely,
you go up in this upward spiral and joy and
I find, in my experience, I don't necessarily get what I'd like to have, you know. It appears I get everything I need. I've discovered that. It's like, and I like, I haven't got my own home. I have got a home, but my ex-wife lives in it, which is not a problem. She looks after my children and that. But I actually haven't got my home. I actually live in a room. But you know what? It's the most beautiful room, and I'm like so happy with it all. You know what I mean? I've got beautiful friends, and I think you're right. I think as you raise your vibration, then you start attracting beautiful things into your life. And talking about like the fear-based stuff, yeah. I mean, probably like 100,000 years ago, God knows, but a long time ago, when we didn't have any of this, yeah, because I know this ain't the way it's supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? I'm convinced of it. But like in them days, you know, there were fears, obviously, and our amygdala had its job to do to protect us, you know, keep us alive. And so I'm assuming they must have been quite joyful race, you know, really early on, because obviously if they instinctively probably were so in tune with everything that they, you know, they got warnings from their body if there was an animal that could hurt them or whatever. Whereas today, as you know, we got so many things to be stressed about. It's just unreal. And I know it's a bit of a well, I'm not even going to say it, conspiracy. I hate that word. It's something I've noticed, that it appears, right, that fear seems to be the driving force, right, for a lot of people. You know, like, am I going to earn enough money to pay my mortgage? And you know, so many people are in debt, and that causes its own problems, and that causes problems in relationships, and you just get so much of it. It's, you know, I'm pretty sure it's been designed like that to keep us in fear, you know. And I don't like to talk about it too much, because I believe when you're at a particular vibration and you do focus on the negative, it's strengthening that energy, you know. So I do try to step out of that, you know. I do see a lot of spiritual people, and they get so involved in all the fear-based stuff that's going on, and I'm like, oh no, it's like that's maybe getting strengthened by them without realizing it. But that's only my thoughts. But,
Yeah, no,
but to be fair, we have to things are definitely changing. So many more people are actually realizing that it isn't cricket. It ain't supposed to be like this, there's not enough. I don't know. There's not enough of something good anyway.
I'm totally with you.
I'm bloody digressing here. Do you know what? I cried the other week. I cried the other week because I was for a moment I felt like a bit like an empath, and I just felt so many millions of people. It was tears streaming down my eyes because I felt all this struggle, and knowing that it's not supposed to be like that. It's so sad.
Well, every coal has got a journey, and they've chosen the journey. And if you're turning from a piece of coal into a piece of into a diamond, you're going to have to go through heat and pressure, and it's each soul's choice. Opted into their vehicle what they were going to have in order to polish up their diamond, and each person made that soul choice, in my view. So what what this quantum this quantum technology does is it reminds your higher self what you signed up for before you jumped into the body. So it's your soul chakra. So it reminds you that you've actually got all the tools. You can do all of this.
Yeah. It's funny you talk about reminding, because like whenever I used to read a book, I felt like I wasn't learning anything new, but I was being reminded all the time, being reminded and reminded and reminded.
Yeah.
And I get that. The soul contract, and having to be reminded, definitely. And given opportunities, even through what would be sometimes perceived as awful situations, it's actually appears to be awful, but it's actually not awful at all. And there's some ray of sunlight in there that could completely change your life, Yeah.
I mean, like you've gone from having a house and not particularly comfortable relationship at the end there, and now you're into a comfortable room, but you're much happier. I mean, the thing is, you maybe wouldn't have chosen to, hand your house.
Not in the moment. I probably wouldn't have done. It's really weird, Sarah. I live in this beautiful house, right, with one of my old customers, because I've got a cleaning company as well as a therapy business. Because, like us therapists, we tend to have two different things going on. Like my friend Kate May used to say, "Hi, Dave," there on the messages. And I live in a house with a guy, right, and he's the most beautiful guy you could ever live in a house with. It's like, it's just like weird that we get on so well. So I'm in this beautiful house, in this beautiful room with this beautiful man, and it's like, how the fuck is that possible? How is this possible? And sometimes, like, I don't know whether you have this yourself. You sit down sometimes and like the gratitude you have, because it's like, it's incredible. And again, you get all of this if you higher your vibration. I'm with you 100%. I think it's definitely the way forward for everybody. Turn the tellies off, Try and keep away from really negative people. But again, they're in their little game of life and they're doing what they do. It's a bit of a weird one, It's like, I don't know. Gets a bit complicated, Sarah, for me sometimes, because a part of me knows that they're perfect and they're beautiful and they're doing what they're doing and it's their little game. So if everyone I view them as being in their little game of life and accept that with acceptance, so many more things come from that. But often, a lot of people don't see them in their little game of life and get upset and triggered and as well. I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, we have to appreciate and respect everyone's choices. And, a lot of people are not hanging out with the same people anymore because the vibration is different. So you're choosing to watch a different show. You're choosing to go down a different vibrational route. There's no judgment. It's just a case of, well, I just don't feel like hanging out with you at the moment. And a judgment on whether, you know, it's just on whether anyone is better or worse than anybody else, or further ahead or further behind. It's none of that.
No,
We just
absolutely.
choices. And if you don't feel like hanging out with someone, or you do feel like hanging out with someone, or in a certain situation, then just follow your intuition and your heart. I mean, you've got to come back to the heart and what you love to do. And if you love doing something, like you were saying, if you love something, then you're going to attract that vibration of love right back to you, and complete, you know, keep escalating. So you're going to attract the best housemate. You're going to attract
exactly beautiful garden, though. Nice
beautiful
friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how abundant are we? You know, I mean, I just every day, and you know, for me, when I turned off the TV, that window into the garden here was my TV. I mean, we, you know,
Beautiful.
the birds come and you
Do you
know,
know, the bird said, oh my God. I remember when I was like 5, 6 years of age, my mum used to put me in bed about 7, 6:30. I remember this. I always remember the birds, the blackbird. And it's always been with me ever since. It's actually, we're talking about sounds, and it's my most favorite sound, the bird singing. Obviously stems from when I was a child, and I locked onto it as a kid. But yeah, especially at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, when they're all chirping out there. It's absolutely incredible. It's like, wow. I remember one night, I heard one bird, and then I heard another one. And it's like, oh my God, I've witnessed like the first bird singing in this area. You know what I mean? Obviously. But that was quite incredible.
It's really special, isn't it?
Really special. And it's free. Oh my God, you wake up early and it's free. That's such a beautiful thing to experience.
Do you know what? I heard something really interesting the other day about that, and it was why do the birds start singing just before the sun comes up? And then someone told me that it was I don't know how this sits for you. Someone told me that the frequency of the bird song, which is like the solfeggios and all the rest of it, you know, the frequency wakes the plants up to start producing the chlorophyll, and to emit oxygen for us to breathe. So it's the bird's song that stimulates the plants to do that. Apparently, I heard that the
I
other.
love that. It's a great. When you were talking about that, I was thinking, you know, the birds are getting excited because the sun's going to come up, and the sun is like so much more important that we realize. You know, you know my friend Danny. Danny, obviously, she was supposed to be on tonight, but she couldn't make it. She loves the sun. She's always taking photographs of the sunbeams, and she's saying, they say, don't look at the sun, look at the sun. You know, it's like,
Sun gaze gently, but
of course.
thing they've you know they've been trying to keep us in for 3 years, you know, not to have this black out the sun with the you know the cloud.
I know
all of that stuff. So, but it's the sun that's upgrading us. So that's and being with like-minded people upgrades us. Yes, raises your vibration, makes you feel uplifted. You know, so if you're vibrating on a higher frequency with some sunshine and nature, you're going to just have a more joyful experience, right?
Yeah. Again, it makes you think, you know, like with the chemtrails. I mean, they do say, you know, it's supposed to be reflecting the sunlight so it doesn't warm the planet. But it makes sense if there are so many a group of people on the planet that wants us all to be in fear. They're going to do everything they can do to keep our vibration low. Do you know what I mean? So feed is full of shit. I mean, you go into a supermarket. If you're like really want to eat well, there's hardly anything you can eat. Even like maybe some organic stuff, but everything's got crap on it, you know. And I was going to say earlier on, like I can see in the future, people are going to turn their gardens into vegetable patches because that's the way forward, isn't it? Because it's your soil. You know, it's like I don't know why in this country we've got all these beautiful like gardens with the flowers are gorgeous, but like I think do like what the Russians do because my ex-wife was Russian, and they've all got like, well, most of them have also got a little place in the country. Is when they live in the high-rise flats, they've got a place in the country, and they've all got these incredible vegetables growing. You know, it's like I'd never seen anything like it. Just masses of. It was a bit like the old strip farming back in the 1600s, when most people had a little strip of land to grow our vegetables, until the landowners thought, we'll buy these off these people and get them to work on our land, and basically, take the mickey out of them.
Isn't that brilliant? I didn't know that the Russians were so far ahead in that way as well. I mean,
Yeah.
because we need to do, isn't it, is turn our gardens into
Absolutely.
and it's just, I've got too many tomatoes and you've got too many carrots, and let's do a swap.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think, going off thing? And I know we've gone on for a while. We'll probably have to wrap up in a minute, because I've got to drive to Somerset in a minute. Yeah, no, I've been going since 5:30 this morning, but I'm loving it. Don't worry, got plenty of energy, Sarah. But what was I going to say? Parker, lost it. No, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. This is exciting. People that are watching, there we go. Hey, look at that. You know, it took me ages to work that out, Sarah, how to put that on there. So this is a workshop you're doing on the 16th of July, yeah?
Yes, that's the next weekend. Nearly. We're doing that one, which is about manifestation, and that's in Emsworth, on the south coast of the UK. So there are 4 of us, and we're in combination with One Mind Can. One Mind Can is a community-based community, and we're basically all coming together to put on some lovely like-minded people events, and I'll take the pod so people can try that. So that's the one, and I'm doing quite a few things coming up, actually.
Oh, that's fun. And do you know, I didn't even get a chance to put your website up on the thing before we come on. So people watching, this is something you can get involved. Just looking at my dates, actually, and the camp. I was there with Danny I don't know, about a month ago. It's something I'd like to get involved with, to be honest, Sarah. I don't know if you can point me in the right direction there, because it seems to be a lot of like-minded people. Yeah,
I mean, you'd be very, very welcome, definitely. I was one of we all started with a stand in the park 3 years ago, and we also, like-minded people got together, and we all started to get these structures together, and it's to help different communities to connect along the south coast, and going up to London and down to Cornwall and East Sussex, in this sort of big triangle. So there are lots of connections and lots of small communities coming together into large into sort of groups, and things like, someone who's good with medical stuff, someone who's good with growing. We've got farmers, we've got people who are good with natural law and legal, things, and then we've got food abundance network, where we can grow food and share it, and all of those sorts
that's such a fantastic organization. There needs to be more of these sort of things,
Yeah, join us. Fantastic.
Absolutely. The last time I went to one, I think it was a guy called Malcolm. I can't remember, the legal guy. He was talking about the United Nations. The UK signed up to the United Nations. Not supposed to go to war and stuff, and he set up his own trust for his tax. Do you remember that one? Yeah. I found that really fascinating. I loved it. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, it's about natural law, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
If you work with natural law rather than maritime law,
absolutely,
then you're the dead entity, and if you're in the capital, all that stuff. But yes,
Is that a subject you're quite familiar with, though?
I'm learning.
Right, yeah. Because I'd like to get someone on who's quite learned in that.
Oh, we've got lots of people.
I think it'd be good for people to check it out. I mean, it's normally for therapy sort of stuff, but we can have a special night, can't we? Something a bit different.
Well, whereabouts are you based?
I'm not far from you, because I'm in Bognor Regis, sunny Bognor Regis, the sunniest place in the world.
I was there the last few days.
Feltham?
Well, he was in Bognor, and then but
Oh,
today,
right.
today, but yeah, you're only down the road. Well, if I'm doing another talk at Leon Solent on hang on. I'm doing that on the 11th.
What's that? Is that July?
Yeah, July I think it's the 11th. So that's at Leon Solent, and I'm doing a thing at the tennis club there. They have like a positive living group. And I'm taking the pod to that. So if you're free on the 11th, Tuesday the 11th.
Do you know what? After we go off live, or actually, there might be people. I don't know.
Locally, you never know.
Yeah.
On the 16th, we got the Emsworth One Mind Can, so you'd be very welcome to come to that. And then I've got 2 events in Southampton in August and October at the Gaia Health Food Store, who are they have events and special pop-up days and things. So we've got some more stuff coming on.
You've got some good stuff going on, Sarah.
Yeah, we're really getting into the whole thing, and it's all just flowing though, David. It's one thing leads to the next, to the next. You pause for a minute, and then a whole bunch more stuff comes in, and it's all like,
I think it's amazing, fantastic.
Yeah,
you must be so excited. Gosh,
it's so good.
We're gonna have to have you back on again, actually, Sarah, because I interjected a lot and we went off track a little bit. I can't help it sometimes. But it'd be lovely to have you back on again, and maybe you can talk a bit more about your creams and stuff and whatever you want. Yeah. But
they've been tested, and there are special offers every week, and the website is organic-therapy.co.uk. So if I can send you the link and
I'll put it in the link on because this goes on YouTube and it goes on Facebook, right? So what I'll do is I'll put them links, add it to this so people that they can see.
That's fantastic. When I saw it was on Facebook, I knew that we would have to. And on YouTube, I knew that we had to be careful with what we spoke about. So I was being careful with my language.
Right. Oh well. Do you know what? It is what it is. I don't care. Well, I know what you mean. You have to be careful nowadays. Yeah.
But it's so wonderful to be able to have these opportunities to share with people, and keep bringing these things to people's awareness, so that people can make their own personal choices, and that's for them to do. And as we've said, there is no judgment, but it is personal choice, and that's really what I stand for.
Yeah, good for you. I love it. Love it. It's been an absolute joy to have you on.
Oh, thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
It's so lovely talking to you.
Yeah, I think we can have you on again if you'd like to come back on again, and I'll have Danny with me because you know Danny, don't you? Danny, of course you know Danny.
It'll be fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll be honoured.
Yeah, and we can and next time we'll have a bit of time to have a chat before we go live.
That was my fault.
There is no fault, Sarah. Don't you worry. It's all beautiful.
You said at the very beginning that I was a lecturer, a teacher as well, and that is my mode. I am that, but I always say to people, I don't teach you anything. I just remind you, like you just said. I remind you, and that's all we're doing, isn't it? All of us.
Absolutely bang on. That's what I would say. Yeah, reminding. Excellent. Well, look, thank you to everyone that was watching. Hi, Kate May. Nice to see you watching us. I should have asked people if they wanted to ask questions, and I didn't because I was so involved in our conversation. But that's all good. So I'd like to say thanks to everyone for watching and for the people that are going to watching the recording. And that's it. We're off on a mission to spread joy and higher vibration.
Laugh, dance, sing, do what you love.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you all soon.